Okay.
So, you ready? Hi, I'm Michael P. Hamons. I'm here to talk to y'all about law and society, lots of society. We're here at WCCF News Radio 1580 on your AM dial, 100.9 on the FM dial. We're also streaming out across the World Wide Web on WCCFAM.com. That's an iHeart Media platform. And we're at Facebook Live, thanks to Zane Scott Bickerstaff has recorded it. And because this one's in the can on Wednesday, will be published on Thursday. We'll see how that works. A brand new attempt at some kind of time warp through technology. So, thanks for tuning in, however you got here. It's Thanksgiving here in these United States, and we have a lot to be thankful for. We have, I have to tell you that I'm thankful for my health. I'm thankful for my wife. I'm thankful for my friends. I'm thankful for my children, my child, my grandchildren, our children, even those that don't talk to us. I'm thankful for the breakfast that I have every day. I'm thankful for the meal that I don't have to worry where it's coming from. I'm thankful to God for all blessings and for all the burdens, because we learn sometimes a lot more from the burdens than we learn from the blessings. So let's listen as we start off about what Steve Blackwell reminded us in the Peace Creek Revival about keeping your lamp trimmed and burning.
Trouble and trials are almost over. Trouble and trials are almost over. Trouble and trials are almost over. See what the Lord has done. Keep your lamp trimmed and burning. Keep your lamp trimmed and burning.
Keep your lamp trimmed and burning. See what the Lord has done. But don't worry.
Don't worry. Don't worry. See what the Lord has done. Sister, don't stop praying. Don't stop praying. Don't stop praying. See what the Lord has done. Many are gone, but not forgotten. Many are gone, but not forgotten. Many are gone, but not forgotten. See what the Lord has done. Keep your lamp trimmed and burning. Keep your lamp trimmed and burning. Keep your lamp trimmed and burning.
See what the Lord has done.
Brother, don't worry. Don't worry. Don't
Yeah. Many are gone, but not forgotten. Steve Blackwell, Peace Creek Revival. This is a posthumously published CD. Steve and Carrie and Dan Leach, and so we're on Thursday, Thanksgiving, for going on 30 years now. We've been gathering with a tribe of loving people, camping in the woods, along the water, at first along the Peace River in the early days when I was first involved, and then later along Horse Creek on Frank Deskin's property there on Horse Creek. Of course, we joke about the way that we continue to get invited to these Thanksgiving outings was because Frank had some property, and so he's and he's got a manor house there on it, and so we camp out some for a week at a time out here on Horse Creek, and thank you very much, Frank, for allowing us to be out there. So we celebrate the things that we're thankful for, and we hold dear and close those that are with us, and we hold dear and close the memories of people such as Steve Blackwell, who passed way too early. Leo Harbison, who passed way too early. Beth Goff, who most recently has passed from our tribe. Gone but not forgotten. It's going to be actually a powerful gathering since Beth passed. This is the first one since that. Also, last year, my dad, Ken Hamons, he was with us. There was only a few of us in the time of COVID. We didn't have quite the gathering, and so what goes from over the years has grown to over 100 campers and people around the bonfire, in the circle, holding hands and having a prayer before we join in the feast and take nourishment from all of the hard work and the lives and effort provide that. Well, Ken Hamons was there, and my mom Elise has been there, but last year was my dad's last time. He passed, as you know, who listened to this radio show, here in September, and so this will be the first Thanksgiving without Dad being there also, and so. What's the Tao Te Ching remind us about all of this? To give without seeking reward, to help without thinking, it is a virtue. Therein lies great virtue. To keep account of your actions, to help with the hope of gaining merit, therein lies no virtue. The highest virtue is to act without a sense of self. The highest kindness is to give without condition. The highest justice is to see without preference. When Tao is lost, one must learn the rules of virtue. When virtue is lost, the rules of kindness. When kindness is lost, the rules of justice. When justice is lost, the rules of conduct. And when the high-blown rules of conduct are not followed, people are seized by the arm and it is forced on them, the rules of conduct. The rules of conduct are just an outer show of devotion and loyalty, quite confusing to the heart. And when men rely on these rules for guidance, oh, what ignorance abounds. The great master follows his own nature and not the trappings of life. It is said he stays with the fruit and not the fluff. He stays with the firm, not the flimsy. He stays with the true and not the false. Give to one another without expecting anything in return. Take care of one another without strings. Those are the important things. Those are important things. Uh, the folks that camp out and enjoy the company of one another at our Thanksgiving, laughingly called Franksgiving because of where we do it. We'll gather. I think the meal this year is set for 2:00. There'll be oysters and other seafood. I'm sure there'll be some smoked mullet. There'll be fried turkeys, whole fried turkeys that were done out there in the woods. Sides of every kind until the table will groan from the weight of it all, and we'll eat and be thankful and enjoy one another's company, and it will be good. Steve wrote a song that when we tore down Sneakers because of some bad guy making some bad decisions and threats, and was going to take over something, and so we ended up shutting it down. And I had drawn the contract, the rental agreement, and so knew what belonged to the tenant and what belonged to the landlord. And it was different than most of those situations, and so in order that they not be able to take over the business, basically to steal it from the owners of it, we did a community takedown, and we took everything out that belonged to the tenant and left the landlord nothing that they could use. And it was a scene. And Wampus Wagner and Steve Blackwell in November of 1997 wrote a song dedicated to the survivors of the Sneakers Massacre, if there are any. And I'm just going to read the lyrics to you. One night in November, they cleared out the shelves. They came to party and sure helped themselves. Cleaned out each cupboard and all refrigerators. Made big ammo piles of onions and taters. Hurling taters and onions at this time in November, town folks say it was a night to remember. Was it the moon or the beer in their glasses? Or did some crazy bug just crawl up their asses? Onions and taters, outlaws with a potato gun. Onions and taters, tear up the bar, let's have some fun. Caught up in the moment with no thoughts of laters, they tore up the town with onions and taters. They said to the cops, just go away. Now's the time for the big kids to play. Invited friends from near and far on this fateful night, they tore up the bar. A group of friends, most wearing sandals, would soon be called this town's vandals. With political careers now on the line, throw another onion at that sign. Hear the roar of the potato gun? Splatter of onions seemed like fun. When the gang gets together and they drink in their buds, the tater gun's handy and there's onions and spuds. The back of the chair stuck in the wall, the image of the town was said to fall. Taters and onions landlords now fear with broken glasses from bottles of beer. Folks can't believe it. They just wipe their peepers. You can't sneak your trashers and you can't trash your sneakers. You can blame the moon or the investigators, but they tore up the town with onions and taters. So it really had the theme of it wrong and missed it. And I almost wrote a song in response, but decided to just let it pass. And sometimes that's the best I did, just let things go. I privately explained to Wampus and Steve exactly what went down, because we didn't tear up the town. We saved the town from a crass, horrible person that was stealing a business, and we didn't break any laws. And the cops came 3 separate times and they gathered up and then they left, and they gathered up and then they left, and they gathered up and then they left, and they accepted the notion, the explanation that the person who owned the property was there tearing it up because they didn't want it to be appropriated and used. So that's how that went down. But talking about these things, about eating at Thanksgiving, and I went out in the yard and started looking around for because we've got a lot of mushrooms that grow in the yard, and in general, I like mushrooms. I mean, I'm not a real big portobello mushroom burger kind of guy. I want something other than a mushroom between the buns, but I do like mushrooms in all kinds of ways, and particularly the hen of the woods, the maitake mushrooms. I like shiitakes. Your general white mushrooms, all kinds of things. But I've got some mushrooms in the yard that about 8 different varieties, and some of them look like the squirrels are eating them, like they're being eaten. And so I'm thinking, well, if the squirrels eat them, I probably ought to be able to do that. I mean, so I've got this Eyewitness Handbook, Mushrooms, the Visual Guide to Over 500 Species of Mushrooms from Around the World, Thomas Laosso. And so I picked one of the mushrooms and then brought it into my book and started looking at them. And this book has it tells you, it has a picture or multiple pictures. It says where they occur frequently. They say what similar species are. They give sort of a measurement by the hand of the size that you anticipate them being when they're fruiting, and so thought, well, look, this looks like a Russell or Russul, Russule, and there's bare-toothed Russuls, and there's verdigris Russuls, and there's firm-fleshed, and a lot of them are edible. They give the dimensions, the stem size, the spores color, and then they give whether it's edibility, and they have a little plate and knife and fork there to show that. And if they're not edible, they strike through that knife and fork and plate. And then if they're poisonous, there's a skull and crossbones on there. And so I picked one, and it looks like some kind of Russul. And I was, the squirrels eat them. So, maybe, but I got looking and I kept flipping through the pages, and there are so many that look almost exactly like those that I would be irresponsible to eat them without someone who really knew what they're doing. So I'm not going to do it based upon this identification in this book, because there's some that are sickeners. I mean, you can tell that one's not going to be good right off the bat. And the one picture that most looks like that for me was the sickener. So we're not going to be eating any mushrooms that I pick in the yard this week. I was trying to think about, well, when one has mushrooms, what kinds of different ways are there to cook them, and just saute in butter and then add some stock and cook it back down, and then with a little bit of sherry or other white wine in it, and reduce that, and that makes. I've done some really delicious mush, but I wondered if there was other ways, and I found a book that doesn't have any mushroom recipes in it. It's copyrighted in 1944, Hall Publishing. It's How to Cook. And I thought, well, surely this would have that. But I looked through, and in the definitions, it does have a definition of mushroom. I mean, that basic a book. And in the forward it says, in Grandmother's Day, every mother's daughter knew how to cook long before she made bride's biscuits. She didn't need specific recipes and directions. She knew how much butter to add for butter size of an egg. She could sense whether enough shortening had been scooped up to make flaky pie crust, or if a bit more should be added. But with progress came standardization of recipes and the use of level measurements. And research showed that changes in some cookery methods were necessary to have the finest flavored and most healthful foods. In spite of this, favorite recipes and outdated cookery methods are still sketchily exchanged over the bridge table and the backyard fence. Of course they are. So this was a fun thing to look at, to go back through historical recipes and explore that. And so if you're looking for something to read and something fun to do, find some old cookbooks and take a look at them. And you'll find them at the same time when they were wife dressing. I found these books in my mom and dad's house, and wife dress. I mean, this is like, whoa, this is way before feminism, and this person identified solely, really, primarily through her marital status, and dressing was one of the obligations in order to make the family's reputation and to make your husband prideful and those kinds. So you can find some things that you go, these people, thoughts have come a long way, not just technology and material matters that we deal with, but thoughts about all of that have come a long way. One of the things that's come a long way is where you get your food from, and one of my songs that I did that I like, and I'm going to do it for you again. This one's called Groceries. If you please, sup with me. We've got plenty. Have a seat. Round the table, eating groceries. Pass the butter. Yes, ma'am, I'll have tea. Mama baked biscuits. Cooked a fresh mess of greens. Big old pot of rice for gravy. Pass the black-eyed peas, if you please. Bless this food to thy service. Yeah, pass the butter. Whose hands till the garden? Who pulls the nets ashore? Tell me, where did food come from? Who owns the stores? Well, B&B became, you say, A&P, IGA. Olympia Supermart, post-Second World War, while Butcher in Punta Gorda sold ground round, killed the day before. Mullet on ice, boy cleans them in the back, wrap them in paper, take them home in a sack. Whose hands till the garden? Who pulls the nets ashore? Where did food come from? Who owns the store? Winn-Dixie's hanging on, Sweet Bay's up and gone. Does Walmart have you? Well, there's Jim's You Pick just south of town, Warden's Organic Farm, there's fruit in the backyard. Mama baked biscuits, cooked a fresh mess of greens, big old pot of rice for gravy, pass the black-eyed peas, if you please. Bless this food, amen. So, amen. Happy Thanksgiving out there to everybody. Happy Thanksgiving to Branch and his family in Alaska, to Jeffrey in Taiwan, to Dylan, and Birdie and Hanker, he's a bazooka, that boy in Hawaii, and Jody, their mom. Happy Thanksgiving to Carol in Mexico, and Annie. We celebrate Thanksgiving over here. I don't think you do it much in Scotland, but maybe because, there were people giving thanks, and it just wasn't a declared holiday, and it didn't have the pilgrims and all that. But people have been giving thanks for the bounty of the harvest since people have been harvesting. So happy Thanksgiving out there in Montana to Scott McMillian, who just had a birthday, turned 65. Happy birthday to Robin Hogan, Parks Reese, to Robin Ogata, and all of their family and friends. We're happy Thanksgiving right on around the rest of the whole United States, down to our local listening area, from Boca Grande to Arcadia, Venice to Estero, all the points in between, Punta Gorda, Port Charlotte, Fort Myers, North Fort Myers, Cape Coral, Babcock Ranch community. Take a pause and be thankful. Be thankful for what you have, and help others have some. As a matter of fact, I'm going to keep one more song here going. This is for the Love of Kids. And there's a For the Love of Kids home tour that's coming up in February, and that's going to be February 5th. Go ahead and put that on your calendar in Punta Gorda. Share the love for the Kids home tour. Johnny Cole and I wrote this song, and Johnny's passed. That's another one that we gone but not forgotten. So we did this song, and I have to tell you, first time I played it for Daryl Carr, he took out $100 bill and said, "Give this to For the Love of Kids Inc." And so we started this song and wrote it when we were doing a food tasting to benefit For the Love of Kids. Did you have a good breakfast? Do you want to do lunch? When the supper bell rings, are you sure you'll have enough? Well, can you remember last meal you missed? Have you seen the hungry look in the eyes of a child who did for the love of kids? For the love of kids, feed them all. For the love of kids, do you dress in the latest styles, designer or tailor maids? With your walk-in closet full, do you still find nothing to wear? Well, a coat of many colors is soiled when it's all one has, with the shoes of another kid and holes in your underwear. For the love of kids, for the love of kids. Clothe them all for the love of kids. Lay back in your spacious home, feet up on a stool, yeah man. Are you thinking about a fine addition or a waterfront move? Well, picture a child confused and afraid, not knowing whose house she's in or how long can they stay. For the love of kids, for the love of kids, shelter them all for the love of kids. Make sure your kids get all of the breaks, attend the very best of schools, no matter how long they take. But some children can't read, some they can't count. You know, without our help, they're bound to be left out. For the love of kids, for the love of kids. Teach them all for the love of kids. This song I sing comes from the heart, which is where to look to find a way to do your part. Opportunity is each child's fair chance to dream for tomorrow, not live hand to mouth. So let's give them that chance for the love of kids, for the love of kids. Do it all for the love of kids. Do it all for the love of kids. Yeah. So, no matter what you think of what their parents have been up to and whether they've met their obligations and are being responsible or not, the children didn't cause that. The children are who we need to look out for, even if that means that the irresponsible, undeserving parent might get a hand up or a handout. You know, we're trying to give hands up instead of handouts, but sometimes the most important thing is that there's food in their mouth and they've got something to wear and a place to stay and education and people that care. Be a caring human being. Take care of one another. I couldn't do this show without people who helped me, and that's people like Gordon McMartin, United Country Real Estate, is Gulfland Real Estate. GulflandRealEstate.com. You can find him there. He's been marketing locally since 2000. He's from the coast to the country. It's lifestyle real property. He can help you figure out what your property's worth. He advertises nationally, MLS and the web, and you get full service 365 days a year, list to close. So Gordon McMartin, GulflandRealEstate.com. Take a look at it. Buying and selling real estate. Parks Reese. I'm going to tell you more about Parks Reese, so I'm going to wait for just a few minutes on that. The Gene Gorman Auto Sales. You've seen the billboards and the signs. I'd give them away, but my wife won't let me. I'd fix them for free, but my wife won't let me. That's because they're a family-owned and operated business. 25 straight years as Charlotte County's #1 volume independent used car dealer. 3 locations to serve everyone. Gene Gorman Family Motors in Charlotte Harbor, Gene Gorman Premier Auto Sales downtown across from Punta Gorda Police Department, and Gene's Dirt Cheap Cars just south of Acquiesta. You know the drill. All of the vehicles go through a certification process and come with a nationwide warranty. Gene's son Owen is the general manager and vice president of the corporation. Gene has a memoir out. It's a story about his life from the jungles of Vietnam to psychiatric hospitals to the boardrooms of corporate America. And it's a great book for anyone that has battled addiction or knows someone that has or is. He's bringing it up because they're running promotion in honor of 25 years as Charlotte County's #1 used car dealer by giving away free oil changes for a year and a copy of Gene's memoir. You had to be there to anyone that buys a car or sells a car to Gene Gorman Auto Sales. Captain Bill's Barbershop is open. Go get a haircut. Weather's so nice, want to go to the park. Grilled onions and peppers in the air. Umbrella in a cart, hot dog in the park. Enjoy the repast, it's a hot dog day. They're open most every nice day. There's occasions when you won't find them, but for the most part, they're there from 11 until 4 at Ponce de Leon Park for sure. We're working on Gilchrist Park again, and more about that to come. But Sabrett all beef hot dogs and jumbo Hebrew nationals, sweet Italian and brats, on Martin potato roll with every kind of condiment that you can think of. It's a reasonably priced meal in a beautiful setting. Go enjoy the parks in Punta Gorda and have yourself a hot dog. Parks Reese is a sponsor of this show, and Parks, as a matter of fact, he and Rob and my wife Dawn put together the icon for building a zoo, and you can see that it's on the archives on the website. How do you get to that website, Zane?
Just go to wccfradio.com, and at the top left, there's a section called On Air. You click on that, and all of our shows and Building a Zoo is under that heading. Okay,
so On Air, but then to get to archives, how does one do that?
It's right there, yeah.
It's right there. You just find and click around. You can find it. Well, Parks and I have been running together. He's about to be featured. He's been featured in all kinds of magazines and all kinds of articles every place. I mean, he's had the Los Angeles Times says he's an untamed imagination. Take a walk on the wild side with alchemical artist Parks Reese. Trained as a fine artist, he gleefully dances on a razor's edge between art and kitsch, tweaking our notion of reality with wit and beguiling us with mystery. He's been in the Chicago papers. He's been featured in various magazines over time. So I remember waking up to Parks cleaning his paintbrush on my face and chest. He had a painting due in an art class at East Carolina the next day, and we were roommates, and he could not help himself. There's a prankster as well as a jester in him. That was a long time ago, but not really in artist years. The childlike glee is still there. Over the years, in the name of hunting and fishing, we've chased the wild things, delighting in the wonder of it all. I've seen cloud formations that we saw together turned into a painting of his son Myers riding on a swan's neck, flying through the sky. I witnessed trips to Florida become an alligator, the shape of which suggests the state, anticipating it raining cats and dogs. We paired a poem I had written, Alligator, with that painting in The Call of the Wild, The Art of Parks Reese, which was a testament to his generosity, not only in allowing me to participate, but including me in the company of some world-class writers like Scott McMillian, Tim Cahill, Myers Reese, and Greg Keeler. Reading the titles to his paintings, one realizes that Parks is quite a writer himself. As a matter of fact, his book, The Call of the Wild, The Art of Parks Reese, is a retrospective on his work at that time. He's very prolific, and so this copyrighted 2002. So everything for the last 20 years isn't in here, but what a collection of fabulous artwork in the Call of the Wild. He still has some of them left, and as a matter of fact, he's offering to paint an original painting inside the book on one of the cover pages, designed especially for you. I've seen the one that he did for Craig Econopoli, and it's he's got grizzly bears in it, and so which is a theme of Craig's. It used to be grizzly plumbing, but so he's got bears every place. Our dojo had a grizzly bear theme to it. So over the years, Parks has come here to Punta Gorda a number of times. He came on a book tour for this book at the same time that Scott McMillian was having a book tour for his collection of essays about bear attacks, grizzly bear, the mark of the grizzly, and they came here to all books. If you Hurricane Charlie took out all books. It never recovered. Later on, we still have that was an independent bookstore, and those are disappearing across the landscape, and so that was important. We still have Copperfish Books in Punta Gorda, which is an independent bookstore, and so we still have what's becoming antiquated, but is culturally enriching, and it's a beautiful, lovely forum for local writers and artists of all types. And so Parks and Scott were really hard at promoting that independent bookstore in their book tour that they were doing. Over the years, we have a YRI here. You wrote it, you read it, and one of those at my dad and mom's house. As a matter of fact, we combined the YRI with an art show, the art of Parks Reese at the time, and it's Parks's work is the kind of engaging. It uses so much imagination. He has the technical skills to pull it off, and his sense of shape and dimension have been developed since he was a child, and under the tutelage of his mother and Ruth Fashion Shaw. So he does finger painting, he does acrylic, he works in mixed medium, he does lithographs, which those are like 27 layers that you're painting 27 of the same picture and changing the color schemes and developing it all during that process. And it's an arduous process, and he does it fabulously. I've got some great printmakers out there, printers out in Montana, in the small community of Livingston, and it's an artist oasis. Artists and writers have really populated this town, Livingston, that's just on the edge of the Great Plains as the Yellowstone pours out between the Absarokas and the Gallatin mountain range, coming through Paradise Valley up from Wyoming and Yellowstone National Park. It's a fishing mecca for fly fishing, for trout fishing, and it's sort of this amalgam of artists, writers, and outdoor enthusiasts that it's rich. It's very it's a cool thing. And Parks is the favorite artist of Livingston for years on end, and about to be declared the this year's Western Artist of the Year in Outside Magazine, and looking forward to the stories about him, and hope to get to provide some insights from my perspective, since I've been running so hard since 1972, the fall of 1972. And traveling with Parks, I have to tell you, I've never seen anybody any more generous with his attention, his money. When we travel places, he seeks out folks to help, to provide food and money if they look like they're in need. Particularly in countries where the dollar is strong and the people's incomes are very low, just a little bit of that is not a burden on us is a great help to them, and I've watched him over the years be generous and gracious, no strings attached whatsoever. And he does it also. He brings people into his home to take care of them, and he opens himself up to being, unappreciated, abused, but there's no strings and there's no expectation, and it is really completely selfless in that kind of thing. So it pours out in his artwork also. You can the spiritual as well as the environmentally attuned, the political that really has to do with taking care of this planet, is, there's enough of the real part of life, of harvesting. As Rudy Osman pointed out when we were on a hunt one time, and we got talking about harvesting animals and eating them and that kind of thing. He looked right at me, he said, and he pointed into his mouth and he pointed to his canine, and he said, we may be omnivores, but that makes us also include being a carnivore. These canine teeth are for tearing meat. And so that's the reality of existence for most of God's creatures, is that they eat one another. That's the reality. So I get it when people who are truly vegetarian, that they don't want to take a life of some sentient being, and I get that. I don't get the people who eat store-bought meat and condemn hunters. So I believe in consistency in thought and cognitive structure, but that's a rarer commodity than it ought to be these days. Let me tell you a little bit about eating. How much more time we have? Yeah.
Until the song.
Yeah. So Zane's keeping me on task here as we do this show and try to put in the can for Thanksgiving. And so the timing isn't exactly the same, and so we're working in this time warp kind of thing. And thank you, Zane, for helping me with that. But we've got the 6th annual Founders Punta Gorda Southern Supper is coming up, that honors inductees to the History Hall of Honor, and that's coming up here Saturday, January 15th, 2022. We're already advertising now 2 things that are happening in January in early 2022. And so there's sponsorship levels that you can be part of. You can be part of this 2021 historic booklet advertising, and you should call Gene Murtha at 941-258-2080 in order to secure your place in the advertising and help them put this book together. And everything benefits the Punta Gorda History Center, which is a 501c3 non-for-profit organization. Also, it's beautiful outside. We're going to be out camping and outdoors, and that's a luxury. That's something that we get to do because of the friendships that we have and the associations that we've made over time. You can get out into the woods and you can have a natural experience at the conservation lands that we have in Charlotte County that are operated and maintained by the Charlotte Harbor Environmental Center. And so there's an Alligator Creek campus and a Cedar Point campus, and make sure you get out to enjoy the outdoors at one of the Czech campuses. Hey, let's get out of here on a Steve Blackwell song about River Billy rockin'.
River Billy's done rocking tonight on his East River shore. Mangroves and campfire, ain't no swinging doors. Folks in town and all around, they'll party here tonight. Rising tide by the riverside.
Zane, you can make it out to Thanksgiving?
I'm going to try.
Good,
Maybe
please.
Later in the evening.
Yeah, please do.
Cool.
You'll be here for River Billy rockin'.
Yeah.
Everybody's
awesome.
feeling right. You can feel that full moon skull. Tables full of cooking oysters steaming on the grill. We're all so damn good looking, and we'll all just have our fill. We're gonna party tonight, dance around the campfire till the early light. River Billy's done rocking the night on his East River shore. Mangroves and campfire,
Ain't no swinging doors.
yeah.
We're gonna party tonight.
Dance around the campfire till the early light. Fiddles, guitars, banjos, now they're singing round the flame. Talking laughter from old friends, oh boy, they're glad they came. River Billy's done rocking tonight on this East River shore. Mangroves and campfire, ain't no swinging doors.
Happy Thanksgiving. Thanks for helping me build this zoo. See you next week on the radio.
Got it. All right. And that will save it. Yeah. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.